Good day, sir. This is a report all about evolution of water transportation. So, let's start for the introduction. Water transportation is the intentional movement of water over large distances. Methods of transportation fall into three categories. These are aqueducts, which includes pipelines, canals, and tunnels. Container shipment, which includes transport by tank truck, tank car, and tank ship. Towing, where a tugboat is used to pull an iceberg or a large water bag along behind it. Next is the ancient history of water transportation. First is dugout canoes. So, dugout canoes, in an ancient maritime history, the first boats are presumed to have been dugout canoes, developed independently by various Stone Age population and used for coastal fishing travel. So, ito yung kauna-unahang boat na ginagamit para sa pagkuha or pagmimingwit ng isda. And a dugout or dugout canoe is a boat made from hollow tree trunk. So, itong boat na to ay gawa daw ito sa kahoy na kinuha sa puno. So next is Egyptian reed boat of 4000 BC. So Egyptian reed boats, or the ancient Egyptians had knowledge of sail construction. This is governed by the science of aerodynamics and most probably the first sailing boat. So ito yung kauna-unahang ginamit ng mga Egyptians na boat. Then, Khufu's solar boat of 2500 BC. This boat is entirely made out of wood and it is held together by ropes. So, ito, almost the same sa unang boat na ginamit nila, but ito ay mayroong mga ropes na siyang tumutulong sa pagpapatibay ng boat para hindi basta-basta masira kapag may mga alon. So next is Down Latin sail ship. So dhow is the generic name of a number of traditional sailing vessels with one or more mats with Latin sails used in the Red Sea and Indian Ocean region. Historians are divided as to whether the dhow was invented by Arabs. So ayan ang Down Latin sail ship. So next is medieval period. There were also Southeast Asian seafarers and Polynesians, and the Northern Asian seafarers and Polynesians depended heavily upon them from travel and population movement prior to 1000 AD. China ships in the medieval period were particularly massive, multi-mast sailing junks carrying over 200 people as early as 200 AD. So, noong 200 AD, yung China ship is kayang-kaya daw mag-carry out ng 200 people yung kanilang ship na ginawa noon. The next is Viking longboats and Chinese junks. So Viking longboats. Viking longboats or Northern Europe 1000 AD. These ships use 60 men to row the ship. So itong boat na to ay kaya lang magsakay ng 60 na tao. Chinese junks. So Chinese junks of 1100 AD. They were used as fighting and transport ships. So itong Chinese junk or itong ship na to ay ginagamit din kapag sila ay nakikipaglaban sa ibang country or kwan. At ginagamit rin ito kapag nagtra-transport sila ng kanilang mga kalakal ganun or kanilang mga or yung anong basta itong ginagamit nila kapag nagtra-transport din sila. So next is medieval ships. Nar. A nar is a type of Norse merchant ship famously used by Vikings. Next is Skag or COG. The Kag was designed which is believed to have evolved from the longships and was in a wide use by the 12th century. So ito yung ginamit nila noong 12th century, itong ship na to. So next is continuation of medieval ship. Caravel. The caravel was a ship invented in Islamic Iberia and used in the Mediterranean from the 13th century. So next is the 3 and 4 masted sailing ships. SS Savannah. SS Savannah was an American hybrid sailing ship and sidewheel steam built in 1818. The first steamship in the world to cross the Atlantic Ocean. So ito yung kauna-unahang steamship or ship na nakatawid sa Atlantic Ocean. Next is SS Great Britain. The first ocean liners made of iron and driven by a propeller. When launched in 1843, Great Britain was by far the largest vessel afloat. So, ito ang Great Britain ito. So, next is the Zoroaster of 1870. So, yan siya. The first oil tanker in the world built by Nobel Brothers. So, ito yung kaunahang oil tanker sa Pilipinas noong basta ito yung kaunahang oil tanker na ginawa ni Nobel or ginawa ng Nobel Brothers. Next is RMS Titanic. So, ito yung boat na ginamit sa movie noon or yung nag-sink. RMS Titanic was a British passenger liner that sank in the North Atlantic Ocean on 15th of April 1912 after colliding with iceberg during the maiden voyage from Southampton, UK to New York City, US. The RMS Titanic was the largest ship afloat at the time of maiden voyage. So ito, may movie na rin siya. So panoorin na lang nyo doon yung about sa Titanic lumubog. Kung bakit siya lumubog sa North Atlantic Ocean. So next is Wakamiya. First seaplane carrier. It was created by the Japanese. So yan. So next is
Now, I will discuss the example of water transportation. There are many different types of water transport that form part of the wider transport industry. I will give you the different types of water transport are and how they work. First is boats. One of the main types of water transport is a boat. This is the most likely form of vehicle you would use to travel on water, regardless of whether you're on a canal or in the middle of the ocean. However, there are of course a lot of different types of boats. We can generally split boats into three categories. One is unpowered or human-powered boats. Two is sailboats. Three is motorboats. Next is deck boat. These boats, as the name suggests, have a deck area. They are generally small but have seating areas for groups of people. Their main purpose is for leisure and sightseeing or as a vessel form from which to enter the water for swimming or the other water sports. With a V-shape hull, these boats are usually 25 to 35 feet in length. Next is a catamaran. Catamaran is a type of boat which has two hulls. They are generally small-ish boats used for fishing or cruising. But this style of boat has been known to be used for car ferries too given their stability. Next is houseboat. Houseboats, as the name suggests, these are boats on which people live. They are not motorized because they are usually moored in one place floating. Often, they are built to look more like a house than a boat, but some definitely retain their boat style. You tend to find them on canals or larger lakes, and many people live in houseboats year-round. They are also rented out to tourists looking for something a bit different. Next is runabout boat. These small open boats are an entry-level kind of vessel used for casual boating and sporting activities. They have a steering wheel and small control panel. Next is lifeboat. Lifeboat is a small rigid or inflatable boat generally attached to a larger boat or ship used for sea rescue when necessary. Ships legally have to find a certain number of lifeboats corresponding with the number of people on a board. Next is pontoon boat. This type of boat is used mostly on inland waters, and they are incredibly stable due to their wide and flat shape. They rely on tubes known as pontoons to float on the water with sensible seating. They are used for sightseeing and fishing. Next is barge. Barge is a type of water transport used on canals. It is also often called a canal boat. They are long and flat bottom and used either for carrying cargo or as recreational passenger boats. The insides can fit beds, kitchens, seating areas, and more. Next is airboat. An airboat is a small flat-bottom vessel which is powered by an aircraft-style proper. They are used for tourist and fishing purpose in marshy to the Everglades in Florida. Next is felucca. Felucca, these are mostly used for tourist purpose now, particularly on the Nile. They are Eastern Mediterranean wooden sailing boats, sitting around 10 passengers with 2 to 3 crew members. Next is hovercraft. A hovercraft is one of a few types of water transport, which can also travel over land through mud and on ice. Next is kayak. This is a small narrow boat propelled by the use of double-ended paddles. They are commonly used for recreational purposes on small bodies of water. Next is liner. A liner is a very large boat designed to transport cargo or passenger long distance from point A to point B. Next is yate. This is no standard definition for a yate, but they are generally 33 feet plus in length with overnight facilities, used for pleasure and usually the height of luxury. You tend to find yates moored at places like Puerto Baños in Marbella or or Cannes in France. People often make an activity out of celebrity yacht spotting. Next is ferry. A ferry is a type of boat generally used to carry passengers short distance from A to B. They are used within waterside cities as public transport, such as the ferries in Venice or the ferry across the Mersey in Liverpool. There are also ferries which travel a long distance from the UK to France, for example, which also hold cars. These tend to have many more amenities on board such as cabins for sleeping, restaurants and bars, small cinemas, and more. Next is punt. This type of boat is small and flat bottom with a square cat bow. This it is propelled by the use of a pole which is pushed against the riverbed. The person doing this is a called punter and they will be stood on the boat at the back. Punts are used for recreational purposes mostly. Next is rigid inflatable boat, also known as a RIB. These tiny boats are, as the name suggests, rigid and inflatable. They are lightweight, high capacity, and unsinkable. RIBS are usually used as work boats. However, they are also used by scuba divers to reach dive sites, which are in areas where larger boats can't get to for whatever reason. They travel fast. Next is ship's tender. This is one of the most useful types of water transport because a ship's tender is used to transport people or goods from a larger ship to a dock where there is not enough space to dock the ship itself. Next is water taxi. A water taxi is used like land public transport to get people from one point to various other points. They will make multiple stops. Water taxis are used for commuting and also by tourists. You'll find them in cities like Venice, Liverpool, Istanbul, Brussels, and New Orleans and Budapest.
In this slide, we will discuss the other types of water transport. There are other types of water transport which are not technically boats or are not referred to as such. This might be because they're too big for that category or too small, or simply operate in an entirely different manner. Our first one is a ship. A ship is a large water vessel reserved for traveling the oceans. Ships generally have to be 95 feet plus long. They can typically stay at a sea for much longer than boats, and as the saying goes, a ship could carry a boat, but a boat could not carry a ship. All of that being said, there is no set legal definition for a ship versus a boat. There are many types of ships, including but not limited to. The first one is the high-speed craft, the offshore oil vessels, a motorized fishing trawlers, and a factory ships. The next one is a cable layers, a dry cargo ships, a liquid cargo ships, a passenger carrying vessels, a special purpose vessels, a warships, an aircraft carriers, a minesweepers, and a deep survey and a deep sea survey vessels. This is the other types of water transport. A cruise ship, one of the most well-known and exciting types of water transport, the cruise ship. They are obviously classed as ships. They are passenger-carrying vessels designed for staying at sea for an extended period of time. They differ from liners in that they stop at the multiple ports as part of a round trip. On board, you'll find a range of amenities including cabins, restaurants, shops, theaters, cinemas, bars, nightclubs, and much more. Not every cruise ship has all of this, but this is just an example of how incredible cruise ships can be. Our next one is a surfboard. A surfboard is a tricky one to categorize as one of the types of water transport, but it is listed on many websites as being a form of transport despite not generally being used to go from point A to point B in any way. A surfboard is a narrow plank used to allow surfers to ride a wave for fun. Our next one is the personal watercraft. A PWC is also known as a jet ski, which is actually a brand name owned by Kawasaki, which has become synonymous with this kind of vessel. These differ from boats in that you stand or sit on them. They are used for recreation mostly. However, law enforcement also use them due to their speed, and PWC fishing is a fast-growing industry. The next one is the submarine. It is the last types of water transport. These vessels are used for underwater exploration. There are small two types submarines which can be submerged for a couple of hours, and there are massive submarines which remain under the water for up to 6 months. These vessels can go much deeper than human divers, allowing for discovery and anti-surface warfare.
My report is all about the water transportation and military operations. So what's it's all about the water transport and military operations. So let's see. So water transport and military operation is crucial for military operation due to its role in strategic mobility, power projection, amphibious operation, logistic support, sea control and blockage, surveillance, special operations support, humanitarian assistance, control of strategic waterways, and deterrence or diplomacy. So it is very important for the military to conduct an when operation from the water. So these are the ships that the military are using to conduct an operation or to conduct a patrol in the water in the sea. So first is the strategic mobility. Water transportation provides the means for the rapid movement of military personnel, equipment, and supplies over long distance. Naval vessels such as aircraft carrier, amphibious assault ships, and transport ships are crucial for deploying troops and equipment to distant region quickly. So next is the amphibious operation. Water transportation enables amphibious assault, where military forces conduct combined land-sea operation to seize and secure coastal areas. This operation can be critical for establishing heads, conducting humanitarian mission, and projecting force inland. So this kind of ships are good for water and the land operations. So next we have the humanitarian assistance and disaster relief. So it is commonly used by the naval armies. So this an asset that frequently deployed in humanitarian mission to deliver aid, e- evacuate civilians, and provide medical assistance in the aftermath of natural disaster or conflicts. So next is the aircraft carrier. So as you can see, it can carry an aircraft. So next is the destroyers, frigates, cruisers. Next is the submarine, and next is the corvettes, patrol boats, marine countermeasure vessels, amphibious assault vessels, hydrofoil crafts, and last is the corvette crafts. Okay, thank you.
Ports and harbors conduct four important functions. Number one, administrative, ensuring that the legal, socio-political, and economic interests of the state and international maritime authorities are protected. Development, ports are major promoters and instigators of a country's or wider regional economy. Industrial, major industries process the goods imported or exported in a port. And commercial, ports are international trade junction points which modes of transportation interchange, loading, discharging, and transits. Ports Port. A port is a facility for receiving ships and transferring cargo. They are usually situated at the edge of an ocean, sea, river, or lake. Ports often have cargo handling equipment such as cranes, operated by longshoremen and forklifts for use in loading. The term port and seaport are used for ports that handle ocean-going vessels, and river port is used for facilities that handle river traffic such as two barge and other shallow draft vessel. A fishing port. A fishing port is a type of port or harbor facility particularly suitable for landing and distributing fish. Dry port. A dry port is a term sometimes used to describe a yard used to place containers on conventional bulk cargo, usually cannot seaport by. Okay. Warm port. A warm port, a warm water port is a port where the water does not freeze in winter because they are available year round. Warm water ports can be of great geopolitical or economic interest with the ports of St. Petersburg and Valdez being notable example. Port of call. A port of call is an intermediate stop, for example, to collect supplies or fuel. Cargo containers allow efficient transport and distribution by eliminating loading of smaller packages at each transportation point and allowing the shipping unit to be. Standard containers can easily be loaded on a ship, train, truck, or airplane, greatly simplifying intermodal transfers. Cargo often arrives by train and truck to be consolidated at a port and loaded onto a large container ship for international transport. At the destination port, it is distributed by round transport yield for its entire journey. The world's busiest port is contested by several ports around the world, as there is as yet no standards means of evaluating port performance and traffic. For the past decade, the distinction has been claimed by excuse me, both the Port of Rotterdam and the Port of Singapore. The former base its measurement on cargo tonnage handled, total weight of goods loaded and discharged, while the latter ranks in terms of shipping tonnage handled, total volume of ships handled. Since 2005, the Port of Shanghai has exceeded both ports to title in terms of total cargo tonnage. According to Wikipedia, the following ports have variously made claims to be largest world port: Port of Shanghai, Port of Singapore, Port of Rotterdam, Port of Hong Kong, Port of New York, and New Jersey. Port structures. The term port, harbor, and haven are more or less synonymous, but each of them also has specific meanings. Port layout. This is the port layout of Mar del Plata. A harbor, as spelling harbor, is a place of security and comfort, a small bay or other sheltered part of an area of water, usually well protected against high waves and strong currents, and deep enough to provide anchorage for ships and other craft. It is also a place where port facilities are provided. Example, accommodation for ships and cargo handling facilities. Dry dock. A dry dock is a type of dock consisting of rectangular basin dug into the shore of a body of water and provided with a removable enclosure wall or gate on the side toward the water, used for major repairs and overhaul of vessels. Wharf. Wharf is the oldest term in English referring to port structures. It denotes any structure of timber, masonry, cement, or other material built along or at an angle to the navigable waterway with sufficient depth of water to accommodate vessels and receive and discharge cargo or passengers. The term can be substitute for quay when applied to great solid structures in large port. The area between the quay wall, made of solid masonry, and the nearby warehouse or storage facility is called the quay apron. A pier is a construction work extending into the harbor with suffering of water alongside to accommodate vessel. Pier. A jetty is a small pier, usually made of timbers for boats, yachts, or fishing boats, but it is also to large ships or tanker jetty or T-jetty. This is a layout of port structure. This is a Scrabster harbor. Port terminals. The word terminal refers to a complete port facility for accommodating, loading, or discharge of ships and for the storage, stocking, and handling of cargo on shore. This is the example of container terminal. The, and this is the example of bulk cargo terminal. And this is the oil terminal, guys. This one is ferry terminal. And this is a cruise terminal for cruise only. LNG terminal. Okay.
For our next subtopic is all about environmental impact of water transportation. First is the oil spills. Accidental oil spills from ships can have devastating effects on marine ecosystems, causing pollution and harming marine life. So oil spills came from our large ships that are crossing the ocean that had an accident. So we all know that oil is a chemical that can cause harmful to our marine life. Next is the air pollution. Shipping vessels emit pollutants such as sulfur oxide, nitrogen oxide, and particulate matter, contributing to air pollution and climate change. So to our large ships that emitting black smokes that is harmful can cause or the one factor of green greenhouse gas that is also harmful to our environment. Next is the basalat discharge. So basalat water discharge from ships can introduce invasive species to new environments, disrupting local ecosystem and biodiversity. When we are talking about basalat discharge, it is causes by the large ships. When they are crossing a certain area, the marine life that is already in that area are disturbed. So they will now transfer into the other place or area to have their biodiversity. So their biodiversity was disrupted. Next is the noise pollution. Ship engines and propellers generates underwater noise pollution, which can disturb marine mammals and disturb their communication and navigation. Same with the basalt discharge, noise pollution also causes disruption to our marine life that can cause their communication and navigation in the ocean. And lastly is the habitat destruction. The construction of ports and shipping channels lead to habitat destruction and loss of coastal wetland, impact local wildlife and ecosystem. So this habitat destruction is the main cause of all the negative impact of water transportation, the habitat destruction. And that is all about the environmental impact of water transportation.
Okay, let's move to the importance of water transportation. What is the importance of water transportation? Water transportation described as the movement of people and freight by boat, ship, barge, or sailboat across ocean, sea, lake, canal, or river through other modes of water transportation. It is a vital method of transportation. Water transportation is the most effective method of moving large, perishable, and heavy products across a long distance. This method of travel is mainly used to carry people as well as perishable and non-perishable items together, referred to as cargo. Water transport is the most economical and historically significant method to transport. It runs on a nature track and, with the exception of canal, does not need significant financial expenditure in the building and maintenance of its route. Water transport also has very low operating costs. It has greatest load capacity and thus the best suited to transport huge quantities and heavy items across distance. It has been instrumental in bringing the world many regions closer together and is essential to international commerce.
This is our video report about water transportation. Thank you for listening.